Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion, and this here is the crazy troll nation of YouTube. The crazy, because sometimes I be acting a fool, and if you've been here for a little bit, you know this. But seriously, the crazy, well, that was serious too. Enjoying your channel if you do videos, and if you don't, or even if you do, enjoying the channels that you watch. And the troll part is not caring too much about the beauty community standards. Here it is about self-acceptance and self-love. Just loving who you are for how you look with or without face paint on. Try not to fall into believing you need a certain brand or a certain tool or even a certain technique. Wear whatever you want to wear and just rock it. So thank you for being here. That is the intro. I do use foul language sometimes because in real life I actually do use foul language sometimes. Thank you for being here. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you are returning, welcome, welcome. Let's get into the video. This video, I saw Jamila's video. I will link her below. And also I saw Queer Bones video. There's this thing going around. It's not quite a tag or anything, but it's makeup red flags, makeup brand red flags, makeup promotion red flags. And so we're going to do that. And then we're going to do another video, makeup review red flags or pet peeves, because really for me they would be pet peeves. But this video is my makeup makeup and skincare red flags from just brands in general. And again, these are just my thoughts, and there is some overlap between the two videos I saw, and so there may be some overlap with this one because it seems, you know, some of us think the same way about things. And the reason I decided to do these two videos is some of our audience overlaps, but then a lot of it doesn't. And so I would like for you guys to hear this. And if you do videos, feel free to do a video, you know, whatever your red flags are, or, you know, leave below like what some of your red flags are. And of course, comments are welcome. So feel free to leave below what your thoughts are on red flags. I do have notes here because it was a lot and I didn't want to babble, which I'm doing now. So let's get into it. One of my red flags is a brand saying it's a clean brand. What does that mean? Like, it's not regulated. And when that first started a year or so ago, it makes me think, so you're saying everything else is dirty or other stuff is not good? And so I didn't like that word being used to describe a makeup or skincare brand since it started. And the complaints now, well, not the complaints, but why it's a red flag for a lot of people is that it's not regulated. There's no definitive concept of what clean beauty is. A brand can just say we're clean beauty because we don't use certain items, but it's not proven that those items make a product not clean. And so it's just, I believe it's a tactic to lead consumers to believe that that brand or that product is better than something else because. And one of the complaints with clean beauty is because they don't have preservatives in it, the products don't last as long. I want stuff that lasts long. Like, as long as my skin likes it. If you're new here, I have sensitive skin, so there's a lot of things that I don't use, and there's things that I do try, and my skin is like, no, troll, we are not doing that here. And so, you know, I just want something that's going to work. But there are people that it is important that, you know, it says that it's clean, but again, it's not regulated. Like, what does that even mean? It means whatever the individual person wants it to mean. So it can mean anything. And so that's why it's a red flag. It's like, oh, this is a clean beauty brand. I think it's just a tactic to, as I said, to get people to think it's something greater than something else and to get us spending our money. And because the lifespan of the product, the period after opening the product is good for, is way shorter than the non-clean brands. And so that means you will be buying more of it over time than something that's not technically considered clean. That's my personal thoughts on that. Another red flag for me looking at ads from makeup and skincare brands is the lack of representation. If all of your ads are people who do not look like me, it's going to turn me off because I feel like, okay, they're not even considering me being a person of color. And I know also it's a problem for transgendered community, for non-binary people, because there's a lack of representation. And Queer Bones had said something in his video how everything is very gendered. It's, you know, she this or she that, and, you know, it's all women in the ads. And it's like, there's other genders out here, and there's also non-gendered people here. And there's men who wear makeup, whether they're in the queer community or not. And so just to see all women, and in my case, all non-POC women, it's just like, so are we invisible to you? And it does turn me off. And so thank you, Queer Bones, if you do watch this. I don't even know if I think he knows who I am, because sometimes we do comment on each other's stuff on YouTube and on Instagram. So thank you for bringing that up, because that is really important. And I think for the most part, if you're not in certain circles or aware of certain communities, it's just not even a thought. It's not even a thought. And so I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's a red flag as well. Because this day and age in 2023, I think brands should be inclusive. And that leads me to my next red flag is lack of shade ranges. This day and age, did I just say 2022? This is 2023, March 5th. March 5th, 2023. Looking at foundation shade ranges, concealer shade ranges, blush shade ranges, lipstick shade ranges. It's just like, is there anything in here for somebody who is my complexion or deeper? And sometimes it's not. Everybody doesn't want a bright pink lip. Everybody doesn't want, you know, a beige eyeshadow or a soft dusty rose blush. And it's just like, I'm looking at stuff like, and truth be told, because y'all know I tell the truth here, and sometimes it comes out kind of harsh, I know, but it's how I feel, and so I'm going to keep it real. That's why I haven't purchased anything from Charlotte Tilbury, because I look at her ads, and I look at the shades that she uses, and I'm like, that doesn't look like something, it doesn't appeal to me. And I do know people of color deeper than me who love her blushes. And so it does work. But when I look at it, to me, it just looks pink and pale. And I'm just like, no. And I hear a lot about her powders. And sometimes I'm curious, but not enough. Like if somebody gifted it to me, yes, I will be happy to try it. But I'm not intrigued enough, even with the good reviews, to spend my money on it. I'm just not. Because it doesn't look like, when I look at her range of stuff, it just doesn't look inclusive to me, and it just kind of turns me off. Another red flag is universally flattering. That is such a lie. No one product will look good on every single person. I don't care what you say. You can have a difference of opinion, and that's fine. We're adults here. We can agree to disagree. But in my troll mind, not one thing is going to fit every single body. It's just not. Because of our different complexions, our different undertones, our different overtones, and our faces having different undertones and stuff like that. So, and yeah, I need to hesitate for this one. What's ironic is when I watch videos, because I watch POC content creators, non-POC content creators, people who videos they do drugstore, videos they do luxury, because to me it's just nice to see different things and to hear different opinions. And 100% of the time when a content creator, is saying this will look good on all skin tones, it's a non-person of color. And so I'm thinking, like, you really believe that? And I know they really do believe it, because I do believe the people I watch are honest. And honesty is how they really feel. So not, you know, their truth may not be my truth, but I'm just like, that would not look good on a melanated person. But in their mind, this would look good on every skin tone. And I'm thinking, no, it won't. But that's a different thing. And so universally flattering is a red flag for me. Another one is claims that sound too good to be true. This will eliminate the look of texture. This will eliminate your wrinkles. This will eliminate blah, blah, blah. And if you have skin issues, nothing's going to eliminate that except good skincare and time. Let me know if you agree. And reverse the signs of aging. I have wrinkles and bags, and I've had them at least 15 years. Like, nothing's going to make these go away. And I even had milia removed, and I noticed they are coming back in the same places they were removed in. That was a dermatology procedure. That wasn't makeup or skincare. And so makeup saying, or skincare saying, this will reverse the signs of that. No, it's not. And even if it does, it's only temporary. Otherwise, you would just use one thing one time and all your wrinkles are gone forever. No. No. And if you want to eliminate something, you may need a treatment from a dermatologist or an esthetician, not from a makeup brand or a skincare brand. And as I said, the results may be what you want, but it's only temporary. It's just temporary. Another pet peeve, dermatology tested, hypoallergenic, safe for sensitive skin. And I'm thinking, I have sensitive skin and they didn't test it on me. And there's been products that I've used that have had those claims and my skin broke out, or my skin was burning, or was irritated, or it aggravated, you know, my nasal or my eye allergies. Because if something smells strong, my eyes might start to burn, or you know, my nose may start to run and itch, and my skin will be itching and things like that. And so I'm just like, just because they say it's hypoallergenic doesn't mean somebody somewhere is not going to have an issue with it. And that's why I read reviews on things, because it can be the best thing ever. And there's somebody, you know, there's like 10, 15 reviews. It broke out my skin burned, you know, my acne was aggravated, you know, my milia returned under my eyes. So for me, that's a red flag, even saying those things, because people who don't know. And they're like, oh, this is dermatologist tested, it's safe for sensitive skin, and they'll buy it, and then they're wondering, like, what's happening to my skin here? Like, this isn't good. And even with being dermatologist tested, so what? Like, what are the results? And that leads me into another one. Testing results. If on Sephora there are products that says, you know, clinical studies, and it'll be like sample size 23 women over a 4-week period. Huh? So 23 people out of billions of people who wear makeup over a month, this is what the results are. So it's like 73% said it was 23 people after a month. To me, that is not significant. So I commented on under Queer Bones video of this similar title as this one, his makeup red flags video. I said, I think brands underestimate the intelligence of consumers. And he commented back, yeah, he agrees. So they say things and we're supposed to be like, ooh, ah. And when you think about it, it's like, no. Another pet peeve of mine, well, not a pet peeve, a red flag, is when these are the star ingredients, this is what we have. And as I said, my skin is sensitive. If I buy a product and it's not working well with my other stuff, you could have that product back. I don't want to change my entire routine just for this one thing. And when brands say this star ingredient, or it has this in it, it has that in it, I look at the ingredient list and see where it is in that list. If they say this has retinol in it, this is a retin-A serum, and you look at the ingredient list and there's 35 items, and retin-A or retinoid actually is near the bottom, that's not even enough for it to be effective. But you're saying this is the ingredient, this is a retinoid product. You can say that because it is retinoid in there, but it's like number 20 on a list of 30 ingredients. So, no. And that's the same for highlighting targeted ingredients. This is great because of this. This is great because of that. I am not downing the Nessamyrix Blurring Balm Powder. I'm not downing it. And it's Upsolate is the ingredient, and it was revolutionary, and it was created by accident. The scientists were, and I did look it up. The scientists were trying to form something else, and this is what happened, and it turned out it was a good thing. And I was intrigued by it. I was curious. I didn't want to purchase it though, because as I said, my skin, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to spend money just to experiment. This was free with purchase of $25 or more at Sephora, and it is the universal. I used it one time, and yes, I do believe I used too much. However, I'm not going to try it again, and I already asked someone I know if they would like to have this, and so I'm going to send this to them. Within an hour, my whole face was shiny. This is supposed to help mattify your skin throughout the day. Within an hour, my entire face was shiny, which is the opposite of what this is supposed to do. So a product like this is not for everybody, which is what I had talked about earlier. And there's so many people that love it. I have heard privately from a few people who didn't like it. But in videos, nobody is saying they don't like it. And also the reason I will not try it again, because I thought, okay, I'll try it again. I'll just use less, which is hard because you can't see it, so you don't know where it is. And so it kind of made me think maybe if I get one of the shades, but I'm not. You know why? And I'm going to tell you why. As time went on, my under eyes were burning, and the burning got worse over time. And it took me, because I did like 3 videos, and this was the first one putting this on. So maybe by an hour and a half, I could no longer even tolerate it. I had to wash my face off because my under eyes were burning, and the burning just kept getting more and more intense. And it didn't play well with my concealer. My concealer cracked. And the thought of having to put this on as a primer, which is what I used it for, and then put on concealer, and because this is supposed to be a powder, putting this on top of concealer on top of this, to me, that just didn't make sense. But again, because it made my under eyes burn, this is not something I will ever try again. So as much as people love it, this is not for everybody. And so that's a red flag for me, because the targeted ingredient is Upsolite, and my skin is like, no. And it had the reverse effect. It made my skin shiny, whereas it's supposed to mattify. And it's about skin type. This is not for everybody's skin type. My skin is not dry. It's not oily. It's just regular. But this did not work for me. But it's this revolutionary product. Another red flag for me, and it might be a pet peeve though, is sunscreen and foundation. Because number one, I think it's like, what, a teaspoon of sunscreen you're supposed to use? Excuse me for that stammer. And nobody uses that much foundation, except that trend where they're just slathering it on, which to me is just completely ridiculous, because nobody really does that in real life. They're just getting views for TikTok or whatever. And also with sunscreen, you're supposed to reapply it every 2 hours. And so if it's in your foundation, are you going to reapply your foundation every 2 hours? And then that means putting back on your blush or highlight. And so then you're just cake faced by the end of the day. And again, I think that's just to hype people up. Like, oh, I get skincare. I get sunscreen in my foundation. But number one, it's not enough to be effective. And number two, you're not reapplying it every 2 hours. So what difference does it make that it's in there? Cash grab. Yeah. Underestimating the intelligence of consumers. Another one is when brands, this will make your skin look flawless. It will make your skin look natural. When you wake up in the morning and wash your face, that's how your face naturally looks. I'll say that again. When you wake up in the morning and wash your face, that's how your face naturally looks. But this product is saying it's going to make me look natural, when it's actually altering the way I look. Now, if it says it'll even out your skin tone, say that. This evened out my skin tone. But it's not natural, because my skin tone naturally is not even. And my skin is not naturally flawless. And no product is going to make it not look flawless. Flawless to me, let me define it. Flawless to me is no blemishes, no texture, your pores are not noticeable. It just looks like a blank slate, like you're a newborn baby. Your skin looks like a newborn baby. And even for me, I'm going to lean in because I don't have zoom. You can see in this area, because my skin is still sensitive, eczema stuff. The last 2 days I did wear a mask for an extended amount of time. And so even now, you can see texture in this area right here. And my laugh lines is breaking up. I did notice that this does crease under my eyes even when I set it. And it does accentuate my smile lines. But even aside from that, you can see the texture on my chin. You see that? And you see texture here. If your skin is textured, unless you're caking on a bunch of stuff, you're still going to see some texture. So for something to say flawless, and I can say, oh, this is flawless. Well, what do I mean? Do I mean flawless in the sense that it evened out my complexion, which it didn't because it's still darker under here than it would be? Because if it was flawless, this would blend in with the rest of my face. And so when I hear claims, this will make your skin flawless, I'm deciphering what they really mean. Maybe they really mean it'll even out my skin tone. But if I can still see texture, to me, that's not flawless. And as my intro says, love yourself for who you are and for how you look even without makeup on. And I believe those so-called imperfections is what makes us unique and what makes us perfect as individuals, because that's who you really are. So it's not for me trying to cover up stuff. Just get me even a little bit. I don't mind still seeing redness here. I don't mind still seeing under eye discoloration, because that's how my face naturally looks. And even when I wear makeup, I still want to look like me. I don't want to wash it off and they're like, oh my God, who are you? You know what I'm saying? So that's why that's one of my red flags. And when I see videos, how to get a flawless face, that means you're actually trying to alter how you naturally look beyond just being more evened out. And even that's altering the way our face naturally looks. Skincare and makeup, cash grab. Get your skincare, use skincare. If you need, you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy this blush that has niacinamide in it. Get a niacinamide skincare product. And it's so hyped up and so many brands are doing it, and they're doing it because they're seeing that other brands did it and it's selling. Cash grab. This person did it, that brand did it, this brand did it, it's working. We're going to do that too. Makeup brands are now developing skincare items. MAC has a skincare line because they're seeing that it's working for other makeup brands. And so think about that. Why is this brand now doing skincare? This makeup brand doing skincare? Because they're seeing it done elsewhere and they're making money from it. Well, not the last time, but the time before the last time I went to the MAC store, she gave me samples of skincare packets. And I'm like, I didn't come in here for skincare. I came here for makeup. And so just think about these things. And I hope it is giving you something to think about. If you need something in skincare, just get in your skincare. Sprays and foundations and stuff and primers have hyaluronic acid in it. Our bodies produce hyaluronic acid. So our bodies make this thing that people are like, oh, this has hyaluronic acid, I'm going to buy it. Yes, as you get older, our bodies produce less. But if you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s, you don't really need extra hyaluronic acid. And some products that has that ingredient in it, it burns my skin because it's an acid. It's too much. My skin is like, we make enough. We don't need this. And so try not to fall into the hype of, ooh. And if your skin isn't producing enough, just get a skincare product that has it in there. That's all I'm saying. Another red flag is when I see skincare ads and it encourages you to use the whole line. Here's a vitamin C eye serum. Use it with the vitamin C face serum. And then after that, put on our vitamin C moisturizer. And I'm like, okay, well, that's just vitamin C. What if I also want the niacinamide, the retinol? So you're telling me I need to buy 3 whole lines of stuff and have like a 35-step skincare routine? No. You can get a product that has niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, ferulic acid, retinol, vitamin A, vitamin B. There are skincare products that has multiple key ingredients in it. And so I'm like, I'm not buying an entire line of all this stuff because most skincare is to use once or twice a day. And how much stuff do you just think? Just think about it, y'all. Think about it. Oh my gosh, a huge red flag for me is promo pictures and they're using filters. I cannot stand Pat McGrath's promo pictures, videos, whatever on Instagram because it's flashing lights, there's stars, there's glitter. what does the color look like? I can't see it because there's a bunch of flashing lights and stars. And other brands do the same thing. Or they show it and they're moving it. That, I never understood that. I'm going to hold up this non-reflective box. This is MAC NC43 Powder Foundation. They'll hold it up and they're going like this. I can't even read what it says because you're shaking it. Just hold the product. Another example, like this, the look I did today, I used this Lethal Cosmetics palette that I created. And what if I'm saying, this is the palette I used today? I used the middle row. Well, can you stop so I can see the shades? And I'm like, why are you're making me dizzy? And I do have vertical issues. But I'm just like, yeah, we can't see it with all the lights and the flashes and the stars. And then if somebody's holding it, they're moving it. I can't see it. And then I click off because then I'm getting dizzy and I'm having a vertigo episode. Another one from brands. This is a red flag, and it's usually smaller brands or not well-known brands. And I get a lot of emails. Hi, beautiful. My name is my email address. If you look down below with all the other information, my email is down there. My email address is my name @gmail.com. So why are you saying hello, beautiful? We've been watching your videos on social media, on YouTube, and we think you'd be a good candidate to try our products, yada, 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 yada. We would love for you to send you some jewelry. Here's the link that you can look at. Okay, you've already, and my YouTube channel is my name, Dion Loves Makeup. So you're saying hi, beautiful. So it's like, did you really watch the video? And you're saying you've been watching my videos, which is about makeup and skincare, but you think I'm a good candidate for your jewelry? Red flag. They're sending out copy and paste emails. And if you want to go for it, go for it. But it just turns me off because you're lying to me. Your first email to me is a lie. So why would I want to work with you? I wouldn't. No. The last one. This is a red flag. Ooh, 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 ooh. I think I'm gonna do my makeup pet peeves after this one because we're only at about 30 minutes, and that list is a lot shorter than this one. When brand owners, small indie brand owners, they haven't learned yet how to take constructive criticism for their products. What the red flag is when they air their frustrations on social media. I don't know why people are hating on my product, and you know, I deal with a lot of stuff at home, and I just moved recently, and I love my products and they're good, and people are saying such and such. What does your personal life have to do with your brand? That is not the place. And 9 times out of 10, people are still buying from that brand. And so the ones that are seeing your ads or whatever it is you're posting, they're the same ones that's hearing you complain. So then I'm like, let me just back away slowly because I'm here for the makeup, not to hear about all your troubles. We all have troubles. Business is business. It is not personal. I know it feels personal. Well, I imagine it feels personal to that person because they created that brand. They're making this product. They're putting it out there. And so I do imagine it makes them feel vulnerable because you're like, I want people to like it. I want them to buy it. I think it's an awesome product. If not, I wouldn't sell it. So when they hear something negative, they take it personal. But it's business. So that's a red flag to me that business owner just needs to grow. And as I said, it's usually smaller indie brands, even though I think Natasha went off on somebody somewhere that I completely missed what that whole thing was. And I know Pat's good for suing people for stuff. But suing somebody for something, that's not even personal. You're just trying to trademark the word divine or something that I think is just silly. My thoughts only. But so those, yeah, those are my makeup red flags. And so we're going to jump into my makeup review red flags / pet peeves. When I'm watching reviews and, oh, this will look great on everybody. Girl, sir, non-binary. No. Different complexions, different undertones, different skin issues. And you can really believe, like I love lethal shadows. I can be like, these are bomb. You need to go buy it. They'll look good on everybody. But if this isn't the colors you like, this you ain't going to get it. And even if you do, you'll put it on and be like, I don't like this. It don't look good on me. You see what I'm saying? So it's subjective. And the same with what I was saying about universally flattering. That can fit into pet peeves too. When content creators say this is universally flattering, I'm like, I really believe that they believe it is, but in my reality, it's not. And that's the same way with saying this will look great on anybody. No, boo-boo, because no one thing looks great on everybody. That's reality. That's my troll reality. And again, saying something is a universal shade when it's not a translucent thing. How is it universal if it has a color to it? I have one, the Fashion Fair Truly Tawny powder. Let me shake it. See, you see the powder? Isn't that cute? And you're like, okay, stop. This is what's left in here. This matches my skin tone so well that when I put it on, you can't see it. And it does say, let me make sure I'm not lying to you. No, it does not say translucent. On here it doesn't. I forget what the box says. Fashion Fair Set It Loose Powder Truly Tawny. That's like me saying, this will look great on everybody. No. If you're lighter than me, it might be too dark for you. If you're deeper than me, it might make you look ashy. But because it looks so great on me, I could be like, this will look great on everybody. No, it's not. And so the thing with that is consider the source. When someone says something, look at who they are. And if you've been watching their videos, pay attention to, okay, that this is their aesthetic. This is what they like. It may not be what you like. I watch some people, Teresa's Dead is a good example. She loves stuff that I don't love. And some stuff I love, she's like, I can't stand it. But I watch her because I enjoy her content and I enjoy her personality. So even with that, if she's reviewing an eyeshadow palette, she's like, well, I didn't like it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have that and I love it. So it's just considered a source and not to take it personal. Like, oh my God, how can you not like that? I love it. Because we have different preferences. So don't take stuff personal when somebody doesn't like something that you love. It's not personal, boo-boo. It's not. And when someone says a product is not good because, you know, it dried out my skin, don't buy this, blah, 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 consider the source. If they have dry skin and they're saying it made my skin dry, well, the product says it's mattifying. Consider the source. Consider the source. Because you might think, oh, wow, like, yeah, that's not going to work for me either, dried out her skin. If you have oily skin, it might work for you because it's a mattifying product. So just think about who is saying it and think about why are they saying it. Also, with another pet peeve of mine with makeup reviews is not sharing what your personal preferences are, what your aesthetic is. For someone to say, I love this palette, this is great, where they say, I don't like this one, it doesn't have any sparkly shades in it. Okay, well, that's your preference. Let people know that that's your preference. My preference is bold or a dark eye and a dark lip, preferably black, like I have one today. So if I get, you know, like this, which I got, I might be like, I don't like this, the shade is awful, which is really not. But say I'm like, I hate this, it's awful. It's not that it's awful, it's just not my preference. Look at this and look at my preference. Again, consider the source. And so when people are saying, well, I don't like this because it's too purple, they need to have, you know, a transition shade in here. All of us don't use the same shade for our transition area. Some people don't use a transition shade at all. I don't like this palette because there's no inner corner shade. Everybody doesn't use an inner corner shade. So it's important when you're looking at reviews to think about, why is this person saying that? Some people always use inner corner highlight. Some people always use brow bone highlight. Some people always use a transition shade. Everybody doesn't. So if they don't like a palette because it doesn't have inner corner or brow bone highlight, and they're saying it's not good, that's just their preference because they want certain things. And when they don't say that, if they're just saying, don't buy this palette, it's horrible, there's no transition shade in it, I don't use a transition shade sometimes. So that's irrelevant to me. So just, listen to what people say. Oh my God, a pet peeve. Review videos where the person in every review video, they love everything and it's the best thing ever. If you love every single thing, I'm going to start thinking you lying. Or you can love it in that moment. Come back in 3 months and tell me if you still loving it. If it's new and hyped up, people are like, ooh. And then 3 months later, they're like, I'm decluttering this. So it's like, so did you really love it? And if you just loved it in that moment and 3 months later you're decluttering it because you don't like it, then, your feelings change that quick? Yeah, so I don't trust reviewers that love every single thing they try. Let me know down below if you have loved every single product you've ever tried. Troll Mind wants to know. Also, not disclosing how it was acquired. And most people are really good about, I received this in PR, or if this is a sponsored video, but some people don't. But when you start looking in the description area, which I know a lot of people don't do, well, I think a lot of people don't do, but I look in the description area. Somewhere way down at the bottom, it's like, this was a sponsored video. But the whole video, you didn't say this was sponsored or it was PR. That's a red flag too, especially if you're hyping it up. And that's another thing. We're going to get to that. Is that on here? Yes, that's down here. A pet peeve of mine, and mine only, is watching review videos about an eyeshadow palette, especially if it's colorful or if it's dark and smoky or if it's bold colors. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks really nice. That looks like my vibe and I want it. I go to the website and it says it's a pressed pigment palette. You done gave me how good the period of opening is. You done gave me where it was made. You done told me about the brand. You done gave me the color descriptions, but you didn't mention they were pressed pigments. Pet peeve of mine, of Dion the Troll here. My eyelids do not tolerate pressed pigments. I have an allergic reaction to pressed pigments. So that's why that's a pet peeve of me. Because if you can give all the other information, why can't you say that? And it goes back to something earlier I said about people, I think they just don't think of different people. Because most people I know, I've only come across, I think, 2 people who also cannot tolerate pressed pigments. And so I think it's just not a thought. If you don't have a sensitivity to pressed pigments, you can pick up any eyeshadow palette and put the eyeshadows on and you're fine. I genuinely think it's just not a thought of, oh, I need to say it's pressed pigments in here. Because it's not a thought. And that's okay. But it's a pet peeve of mine because you can give me all that other information, but you didn't say that. And Denise, W Beauty, she reviewed the palette and she did mention this it was the Chucky palette. The Chucky and Tiffany palette. She said this does have pressed pigments in it, so if you're sensitive, and I appreciate that because when I first saw that color story, first of all, it reminded me of the Martine Cosmetics 669. So I'm like, I really don't need that palette. Well, we don't need any of it, but I'm like, I'm not going to get it because I have the Martine Cosmetics 669. And then when I looked at it and it's like pressed pigments, I said, oh hell no, I'm not getting it. But I appreciate that because I get hyped up and then I'll look on the website and I'm like, I can't even use that without a bad reaction. And my reaction lasts up to 3 days. Like, eyeball actually swells up, my lids are irritated and red, and my skin starts to peel and flaky, and my eyes are burning and tearing. Up to 3 days. Like, the pressed pigment issue is serious for me. So that's why it's a pet peeve for me and for me only, because I know a lot of people don't have that issue. And so I really just think they don't think to share that information. And I appreciate when the websites will say this is a pressed pigment palette, or they'll list the shades that are pressed pigments. And what's tricky about it is in the EU, they are considered eye safe. It's here in the US that some pressed pigments are not. And so for here in the US, it is required to list if it's pressed pigments. But for EU brands, it's not required for them to list it because it's considered eye safe over there. So if it is an overseas company, I will email the brand. I've learned to email the brand and say, does this palette contain pressed pigments? And if they say yes, I don't get it. If they say no, then I think I'll wait for a sale. Because there is a palette I have my eye on, but it's like $69, the Mothman palette. I emailed and they're like, no, this is all pressed eyeshadows. And I'm like, yay. Wait, it's $69. Okay. I'm going to wait, see if it goes on sale. And so that's just my own, again, my own little pet peeve. If you can tell me all the other stuff, you can say that too. And also being told you need something. Oh my gosh, this blush does look similar to that one, but you need this one for this little minute detail that nobody can't tell the color difference. Number one, makeup is a want. It's not a need. It's a luxury. Because trust me, there's other things in your day-to-day life you can spend money on aside from makeup. You can save that for gas money, oil change, get more groceries, get another pack of toilet paper, something. You do not need makeup. So they say, oh yeah, you need to buy this. And when they say that, I'm like, no, I don't. No. So that's all I'm going to say about that because, and back to the clean thing, saying something is better because it's clean. This is a clean brand, so that's why I bought it. It's not a regulated term in the beauty community space brand thing. So yeah, I talked about that earlier, so we're going to keep it moving. Being told you need to use a certain brand or a certain tool. And that's why my intro is the way it is, because you ain't going to tell me. And I also want you guys to believe, too, that you don't need to have certain things. Natural hair brushes, when it became all the hype, or you have to have natural hair brushes if you want to elevate your eyeshadow game. This might not be the best ever, but I think this is cute. You're not going to convince me. Well, first of all, my skin doesn't tolerate natural hair brushes. So I'm not going to buy any. I learned the hard way. I bought some and my skin was like just going crazy. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, okay, can't use those. And so, but even being told you need to have this eyeshadow brand in order for your makeup to be elevated, or you need to use this foundation or whatever. And I do know some people who feel some kind of way and they feel bad or they feel less than, you know, who they are as a human being because they're like, well, I don't have any of that. Or, you know, I don't have the extra money to spend on that. And then they actually feel bad because then they're thinking their makeup is busted because somebody convinced them that they need to have a certain brand or a certain tool or to use a certain technique. My intro is the way it is for a reason, y'all. Use whatever you want to use, any kind of way you want to, because you need to be happy with your makeup. Not somebody sitting here like I am right now talking to you on YouTube and you looking at me on your phone or TV. I don't even see you. So how am I going to tell you that your makeup needs to be elevated? Like, who am I to have the audacity to tell you that? No, boo-boo. No. And so that's a pet peeve of mine. And a review red flag is when it's like, you have to have this if. No, you don't. No. And also, you know, there's a divide between drugstore and luxury makeup. Makeup is makeup. And yes, different things have different quality levels, but then it's whatever your preference is. You know, some brands, some luxury brand stuff, I'm like, ooh. And then some not luxury brands, I'm like, this is really nice. And that leads me into drugstore makeup. You know, I'll see reviews. I'm going to use L, for example. And there are some e.l.f. eyeshadows I actually like, but I just like other stuff more. And so I don't buy e.l.f. shadows. But I do think some of them are really good quality. And when their Earth and Ocean palette, I did not like. The mattes were patchy. The shimmers weren't shimming. I was just like, this is not worth the extra effort to still have a look that was patchy and it wasn't looking right. And I've seen reviews on the video and they're like, well, yeah, the mattes are patchy, but it's drugstore. Just because it's drugstore doesn't mean it's acceptable to be poor quality. And I hear a lot of people say that it's good for drugstore. It should be just good if it's good. Like, don't make excuses because it's not good quality. And along the lines of that, My gosh, y'all. Well, this blue is patchy, but it is hard to make blues. I've heard that about almost every color. I've heard that blacks are hard to make. I've heard that reds are hard to make. I've heard purples are hard to make. I've heard that blues are hard to make. So it's a pet peeve for me and a makeup review red flag for me when the reviewer is making excuses for the quality of the shadow. I'll say it again. Pet peeve of mine and a makeup review red flag for me is when the reviewer is making excuses for the quality of the shadow. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. It shouldn't matter the shade, how much you paid for it or whatever. So I'm just like, so that makes it okay that it's crappy because blues are hard to make. Or that the palette is crappy, but you love it because it's drugstore. Help me make sense of that. Make it make sense to me. Another pet peeve of mine is, this is the last one. And this is probably nobody that watches me. And if you do, this is not personal. This is not about any particular person. One of my pet peeves is, and one of my makeup review red flags is, you got something in PR, you do say you got it in PR, you're hyping it up, oh, this is great, this is wonderful, it blends well, it looks good, blah, 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 blah. Here's my code, so if you want to purchase it, no pressure. My issue with that is some of the brands that they're reviewing, they have sales like every 2 or 3 months. And you're encouraging someone to use your 10% off code when you know darn well, and those of us who know about the brand know darn well, there's going to be a 20 or 30% off sale in like 3 months, but you're pushing your code. You're hyping up this product. Oh, by the way, I have a code for it, 10% off. When you know good and well, there's a 20 or 30% off sale coming up in a couple months. The main one I'm thinking of is Pat McGrath. On my phone, on the TV, it looks different. On my phone, on YouTube, she released something. I'm scrolling for like 45 seconds because it's all different people, Pat McGrath codes, with a picture of the new release. And then I finally just close out the app. They know darn well Pat McGrath's going to have a sale in 2 or 3 months, 20 or 30% off that same exact item. So why would I use a 10% off code when I can wait for 20% or 30% off? The thing is, and this is what annoys me about it, this is why it's my pet peeve, their audience may not know Pat McGrath's website has those sales as often as she does. And that to me makes it predatory. It's predatory for you, hype up this product, talk about your 10% off code when you know good and well there's a 20 or 30% off sale coming in a couple months. And you're banking on your viewers not knowing that. That's predatory in my mind. Again, this is about no one in particular. Do not take it personal. Don't be like, oh, she talking about someone. So I'm not talking about anybody. I'm just talking in general. This is what my makeup review red flags are and what my pet peeves are. So thank you for being here. That is going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts on my makeup brand red flags and also on my makeup review red flags / pet peeves. If you're new here, welcome. If you're still here and you're not subscribed, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. Comments are always welcome. And we can agree to disagree. Feel free to say whatever it is you want to say down below in the comments. And I do reply back to everybody. We don't have to agree. We can respectfully agree to disagree because we grown and that's what we do here. And so I am looking forward to hearing your comments, reading your comments. And what's ironic is those of you who we do have a bond and we do chat outside of YouTube, I am like imagining their voice in my head when I'm reading their comments. And so even though that sounded weird, me saying hearing your comments, but that's why, because I'm imagining what your voice is sounding like when I'm reading what you wrote down below. But that is really it for this video. You will see me again soon. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for being here. As always, self-acceptance, self-love. That is the Crazy Troll Nation way. You will see me soon.